Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. Today I just wanted to do a very quick video. Kimberbell reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try their new punch needle kits, and I have never done punch needle before, but this is a fun little craft. I thought you guys might enjoy it. I do have a link in the description below if you'd like to purchase one of these kits, and you are seeing me learn this real time. I did this in about, I don't know, an hour and a half maybe, and that was including filming. So obviously it's not perfect. It's my first one ever, but I learned on the fly, and it is so easy, such a fun little kit to do, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So this is how the kit comes. This one's called Merrily We Roll Along. They do have several other ones, but this is the one that they sent to me. Everything you need is inside this kit, which makes it really handy if you just want to take it into the living room with you and watch some TV and punch needle while you're watching. It's very easy to do, something kind of mindless when you're just sitting around. Absolutely everything you need is in here to complete the project. So we've got the kit that has the material and the frame. There's instructions. There's the pattern. What else do we have in here? We've got the yarn. We've got some extra embroidery thread. There is a fabric water-soluble marker in here. So everything you need is in here. The only thing I use that's not in here is a Cricut light board, and that was just to trace my design, but you don't have to have that. I just did it for video purposes. I didn't have anywhere to put it up to light so that I could see through it. So again, we've got the embroidery floss. We've got a couple buttons. Inside this package is the frame. There is the punch needle tool. So you want to make sure that you keep track of all these little pieces. Again, there's a punch needle tool. Inside there's a little wire. You're going to see that in a minute, but make sure you don't misplace that. We've got a needle threader and some threads. This is a frame again. It is, and this is just the cloth that you're going to need. So you can see this fabric is going to be perfectly sized to fit in our frame. You don't need any scissors or anything. You will need scissors at the end of the project to cut off the excess, but just to get started with, everything you need is here in the kit. Now, one thing I will say about any Kimberbell project that I've done, and I've done a lot of their embroidery projects in the past, is they are amazing at instructions and illustrations and telling you step by step what to do. So if you take a look at this piece of paper inside your kit, the top of it is the pattern, but the bottom part has step-by-step instructions for each color thread and what you're going to do. This little QR code right here, you can scan it. It'll take you to a little tutorial that will teach you how to do the different stitches. And I think in this particular one, there were 3 different stitches. There's loop, loop and cut, and flat. And it's real simple to do. I watched it for a few seconds. Again, you're watching me do this for the first time out of the kit. I haven't tried it. I didn't test it before I started filming. So I was very easily able to just pick it up and start going. I'm going to iron the creases out of the cloth just to get that out of the way, and I'll be right back. So the first thing the instructions tell you to do is to put the pattern underneath the cloth, and you can tape it down. I'm going to tape it here in a second. And you want to kind of center it into the center of the cloth. And it tells you to use this water-soluble fabric marker and outline all of the black, heavy black lines. So I'm reading the instructions here, and it says outline on the front of the cloth all of the heavy black lines. So you can see I am taping it down. And again, you don't need the light board, but for the sake of the video on my desktop, I couldn't see through it. You could put this up to a window and trace it. You can actually see through it pretty well without the light board as well. So you really don't need anything, but this just made it easier for demonstration purposes. So I'm just going to quickly outline all of the heavy black lines with this water-soluble marker on the front of the fabric. The next step tells me to retrace the sections titled Loop and Loop and Cut on the back of the cloth. So I'm turning the image around. I'm going to line my fabric back up, and then I'm going to retrace the sections labeled Loop and Loop and Cut, which is the tree and the fenders on the car. So we're doing that on the back of the fabric. So I flipped it over. I'm going to line it up again and then retrace those sections. So now we're done with that. I'm going to remove my image, get rid of the light board. And the next step is talking about centering on the top of the inner hoop and press the outer hoop in place. Be sure that the fabric is taut. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to open this frame. Now this frame is kind of interesting. You would think it's stiff by looking at it, but the outside is a rubbery, flexible frame. So that took me a minute to kind of figure out how to get out of there and how to get it on. It is a little bit tricky, but it's very easy. It's just you got to work with it a little bit. So see, this is very flexible. So I'm going to center my design, the truck, into the middle of the frame, and then I'm going to work that top part around back on top. So you can see I have it centered, and then you just got to push the ring down. Again, it's flexible. You want to try to keep the fabric taut and try to keep the hanging part in the center of the top. So I'm going to maneuver this back on to the frame. It takes a little bit of maneuvering, but it's easily done. It takes a second. I'm not the best at patience. So, okay, we are ready to go. And again, you're watching me do this for the very first time, so that's how easy this is. But I think this is such a great craft to do, when you're sitting around with nothing to do. It's very easy to do. So this is our punch needle tool. So you're going to take this out of the package, and again, there is a small wire piece in here, and you want to keep track of this. This is how you thread the punch needle. It's how you get the yarn through it. So you want to keep track of that at all times. I have a magnet in the top of my desk that I kind of set it up there. So it's telling you the first thing we're going to do is loop the green tree. So we have to thread the green yarn. So we're going to open the yarn. Another tip for this is when you are using the yarn, you want to keep it loose at all times. You don't ever want the yarn to have any tension on it. You want to keep it loose. So make sure it's not tangled up or caught on anything or sitting under, any of your other pieces of yarn or tools. You want to just keep it light and loose. This little tool has a rounded edge on it. I don't know how well you can see this. So that's the back of it. And then there's like a scoop side. It's more like a spoon. I'm going to put my finger over the spoon side so that the hole is facing up. I'm going to take the pointed end of this little metal tool and just stick it down in there. The paper's on the top. And it's hard to see this, but the needle came out the other side. And it's just a big loop. So all you're going to do is thread your yarn through that hoop, through the middle, and it's nothing hard. It's not like threading a needle or anything. It's an open loop. It's hard for me to do this holding it up in the air so that you can see, but typically I would set it down. There we go. So you just stick it through the open end of the loop, just like that. And you want, 3 or 4 inches sticking out. Then you're just going to pull it from the other end, and that is going to loop it into the punch needle. So very, very easy. I hope that was easy to understand. We'll do it a couple more times before this is over with. So once you've got it looped through there, you're just going to take the little tail outside of the loop and again, keep track of that. So I'm putting it up there on my magnet so I won't lose it. So you're going to pull it down from the end so that you just have a few inches hanging off, 3 or 4. And the instructions say loop the green grass tree. So there's 3 different stitches. There's loop, and when you punch whatever side you punch the needle down, that's the flat side, and the opposite side is going to create a loop. So this is why it told us to retrace these items on the back, because this is a loop. So we want the loop to be on the front. So we're going to turn it over and punch from the back. You want the side that the yarn is coming out of facing the direction that you're going to punch. So you're going to punch it down, all the way down to that end of the tool and back up, keeping it right along the fabric. You don't want any extra yarn in there. So you're just making little loops on the other side. And I'm going, not even 1/4 of an inch apart And you can do this as tight or as, far apart as you want, depending how dense you want yours to be. But I am going to start just by tracing the tree. And again, this is the first time I've ever done it. This is how easy it is. And you're just following it. And the trick is to move the hoop or rotate it so that you're not working backwards and that yarn is always headed in the direction that you're going. Now, if you make a mistake, you can just back it out like I just did and start over. You want to keep that thread close to the fabric so that it's tight. And just keep going. And again, I'm rotating the frame, keeping that yarn loose. That's the yarn that's feeding it is loose. It's not taut. It's not got any tension on it. And you just keep punching all the way through. And this is all there is to it. You could do the whole outline and then fill it in however you want to do it. So I'm going to speed this up while I fill this in. But I will tell you, as you're doing it, you can pull it over and kind of pull on these loops, and that will kind of make everything tight and more so they all match in size. So you can see we're creating loops on this side, and this side is what's called the flat stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. I'll speed it up. Okay, so I've got that all finished. I'm on my last couple of punches here to fill in the tree. I'm tucking to see if I'm going to use this color again or what it says next. I'm not going to need this color again, so we're going to just pull up a little slack and I'm just going to snip it. And that's it. You don't have to tie it off or anything. Now here is my loopy tree. So I'm just kind of pinching on it and pulling them tight. So you can see it's really cute. So that is the loop technique. The next one we're going to do is the fenders, and they're called loop and cut, which is basically the same thing, but at the end, we're going to cut all those loops. So let's load up the red thread. So I've taken the green yarn out. We're going to open up the red. Again, make sure that we've got it nice and untangled and loose. We're going to grab our little threader, put our finger over the hollow spoon part, stick it in, add the red through the hoop or through the loop, just like that, and pull it out. That's how easy it is to change colors. Now we're going to repeat the same thing on the fenders. So we're going to punch it from the back. I'm going to speed this up and then we'll come back for the cut. Wow, if only I could really punch that fast. So here we are. We've got that one all filled in. We're going to pull up a little slack, snip it off. And then this stitch is called the loop and cut. So I've got all those loops. And again, I'm just pulling on them, making sure everything's tight. And then what you're going to do is just take scissors and start trimming off the tops of it. So you can make this as short and tight as you want or as long and loose as you want. You would think this would make the stitches fall out, but miraculously it does not. So I'm just going to snip all these off. This can get a little bit fuzzy and hairy, so you might want to use some tape, or I have a handy dandy little tabletop vacuum that I love to use for this type of a project. So we're going to clean it all up. And this craft is really forgiving, you guys. So you can, trim it up as you go. If you want to go back and trim it some more, the more tight that you get it, I think the more detailed it looks. But I'm just picking up all the little red fuzzies. And I'm going to tweak it a little bit more. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the other fender. So I will come back after that is done. And again, I do have this little vacuum linked in the description below. It really comes in handy in your craft room, especially if you're doing glitters or fiber arts, anything like that leaves little bits of stuff all over your desk. So again, I'm going to do the other fender and I'll be right back. All right, both fenders are done. You can see I'm just finishing trimming this one. This is what it looks like up close. Clean that up a little bit. So you can see we've got loops on the tree, and then we've got these open areas, and this is what the back looks like. You can trim these tails as you go. You can trim them afterwards. However, I kind of just do it here and there. The next step we're going to do is called flats, and it is the white, and we're going to do the window. So it's basically the exact same thing, only this time instead of punching from the back, we're going to punch from the front. So that puts the flat stitch on the front, and the loops will be on the back. So this is exactly the same process, only again, we're punching from the front instead of the back. So I have my white thread in, and again, I'm punching from the front, keeping that needle low and against the fabric, moving the needle in the direction that I'm going so that the yarn is flowing towards the direction I'm going. And I'm rotating the frame as I go. And again, if you want to do this outlined, if you want to do it brick style so that you're going in between your previous stitches, you can. This is your project. Do it your way. But it is really forgiving, and there's really no right or wrong. And you can see why this would just be an easy project to do in the car if you're on a car trip, or just to take if you're waiting at the doctor's office. Very easily, stick this in a purse or a bag and work on it and put it away. So let's finish up this window. And that's basically the 3 steps that are left. The rest of it is I'm going to fill up the truck with the red in the same flat stitch, which means we'll be stitching it from the front. And then there's just a couple stitches, long stitches to make the tie on the tree. I'm going to sew the buttons on for the wheels, and then fill in all the back. So I'm just going to speed up the rest of it. Those are the 3 stitches. That's all there is to this thing. It's really, really simple, really fun, and they have all kinds of designs. Check them out. There is a link in the description below to all the tools I used to this particular kit and the other kits at Kimberbell. And I hope you guys have a great holiday season and you find this project fun. I thought it was a neat little craft to learn. And again, I learned this, you watched me learn it on camera. So it's not perfect, but it turned out so cute. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been fun to be back with you and share a new craft. It's been a while, I realize that, but I did enjoy this and it was a lot of fun. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and as always, never stop making. See you guys. Bye-bye.